Welcome everyone to this wonderful session of love and its connotations by all of us, Psychiatrists Unite. And what is Psychiatrists Unite? Well, Psychiatrists Unite is our labor of love, 14 psychiatrists together who want to spread awareness in the field of mental health and take away the stigma that is associated with problems related to mental health. And what better way? This is the month of love, the month of February. We bring you this small little session on love. Love is beautiful, love is dutiful, love is amusing, and love is confusing. And that is why people from Psychiatrists Unite are here to spread the light. Let me begin by asking a question to Dr. Rajiv Gupta from Ludhiana. Well, sir, aapke zamane ke log, we always heard happily ever after. Is that still something we hear with love stories today?
See, I think it all depends upon the kind of the relation we're discussing about. If you talk of the love between brothers and sisters, love with the parents, it is eternal and everlasting. But if you focus the definition on the love between a young girl and a boy, a husband and a wife, I think as the entire world is changing, the things are getting quite disposable. They're short-lasting, they're more irritants in between. And I don't think in modern life, living in the modern cities and the hectic life, that kind of eternity or saying that love is forever, even is possible in today's milieu.
True. So things have changed with time. And to add to this, let me also ask Dr. Rajkumar from Vadodara. Sir, often it is said, love at first sight. This is something that is experienced by so many. Is baat mein dam hai? Is there something that really holds true for this fact? Love at first sight.
Hi, friends. Love at first sight is more an attraction. It cannot be called as love. You are somewhere fascinated or infatuated or drawn towards someone by their physical appearance or their character or their way of presenting themselves. But love does not fulfill at this completely. It is just the beginning. If perhaps you are able to see more of him or her and gel along with, develop a level of comfort zone with him, and be able to exchange your views without any resentment, perhaps love then trickles in. It needs a lot of nurturing where you have to be able to invest into it. Then and then only it will be able to sustain over a period of time. Love at first sight is more a poetic expression rather than a reality essay.
Beautifully said, Dr. Rajkumar. Thank you for bursting that bubble. Yes, and getting back to Dr. Rajiv Gupta, we would like to know what is the truth about love and the fact that it is first love that never dies. How much truth is there in that statement?
Dr. Fabian, I think Dr. Rajiv is
yes,
not there. Let Dr. Anjali take this question.
Yes, that's a good idea, Dr. Puneet.
Sorry, can you just repeat that, please?
Right. First love never dies. We've heard that often. What is the truth behind that sentiment?
So what happens is the first time you fall in love, you've actually fallen in love with love itself, not with the person. So, all your feelings that happen to you, all your hormones, your neurohormones, which keep jumping up and down in your body, when you see that person, it's actually the memory of that remains. Many a times when you actually come to know, we did this experiment with some kids and said that, okay, what will happen if you marry the first love? Okay, and they all laughed because by the time they really knew the person, they realized that the person was not worth loving, but it was what they were feeling, at that time, the excitement, the butterflies in the stomach, and what all you're doing, the secrecy involved, and all the excitement with it, where you're trying to do things because you want to feel good. it's more about you feeling good than the other person feeling good. So all that remains, and of course that may stay for a lifetime.
Sure. I think everybody is blushing. Sabko apna pehla pyar yaad aa gaya. Yes. Well, going back to you, Dr. Rajkumar, can love be stressful? Can there be negative emotions associated with love?
Very much. Love will be stressful because when you start loving someone, there are a lot of other emotions which are going to be churning. Your expectations will be there. Your wants will be there. Your desires will be there. And you expect them to be fulfilled, which may or may not be possible many a times. Perhaps it will be more stressful because in love, people just want and expect and are unwilling to give into the love. No love can ever sustain without investing into it. And if you don't invest into the love and expect only the dividends to come your way, perhaps that is going to be stressful. Hence, somewhere you need to look at it. You need to look at your expectations. If you are able to keep your expectations to the minimum, the possibilities of love being stressful is also minimal. If you are able to give into the relationship, you'll be able to get something in return also. So it can be less stressful. But if suppose we are only self-centered, then it is going to be stressful all the way.
True. I think you very beautifully brought across the essence of love, and to keep those love lights aflame and completely brightly shining, we need to have those small acts of love and kindness happen in that relationship. We need to bring about love in action, and we realize it is the small things that make a big difference. Trust, patience, understanding, adjustability, adaptability, the list is long, but all of that can secure a love relationship so much stronger and so much longer. If in problems, never fail to seek help and take the help of a mental health professional, a psychiatrist. We move on to the other section that will deal with real love and real love. Over to you all, Vishal.
So thank you, Fabian. I think Fabian very well, nicely talked and picked up very nice topics to talk about love. Now it's our job to talk about real versus real love. So I have two excellent panelists with me, Dr. Anjali from Mumbai. She lives in Tinseltown, Bollywood, has celebrity patients also. And Dr. Gulbahar Sidhu, he is a poet, script writer in his own right from Jalandhar, and he also talks and writes a lot about love. So, and this is Dr. Vishal from Delhi. So I wanted to ask Gulbahar first. Gulbahar, what do you think is the difference between real love, real, R-E-E, versus real, R-E-A-L love? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, the real and real love, I feel, are very, very different. Although this should not be like that, but it is. This is how the situation is. I mean, just imagine a movie. Most of the movies which are made have a typical stereotyped characterization. You have a hero, a male character who is very handsome, and he goes to a college, and there's a girl who is extremely beautiful in the conventional sense, and they meet and they romance around the trees, and finally there's some opposition. At the end of the day, they get married and they live happily ever after. This is the typical script of almost 90% of the movies, I feel, with some variations here and there. And compare it with a real situation. I mean, how many people for once are really handsome in that conventional sense? How many girls are handsome in the conventional sense? And do the movies really mean that do they tell us that only the beautiful woman and handsome men fall in love? I mean, these are very, very basic questions which we should be thinking about, because the movies are always, I think, made from a commercial angle, and they have to show this kind of a storyline to sell. But the message which we should be conveying to all our listeners is that this is not true in most of the circumstances. Yes, Vishal.
Thank you. So I think you very beautifully highlighted. A lot of times you see there is this role model, role boy, role girl, and romance running around trees. Guys knows how to fight. He's also good in studies. He's also rich or he's hardworking. सब कुछ उसके पास है ना. He's all around. Same with the girl also, you know. And reality में ऐसे नहीं होता, which is true because I think that biases the youngsters a lot, and they have certain role models in their head when they're growing into teenage. They think कि यही इस तरह का लड़का, इस तरह की लड़की ही मेरे लिए suitable होगा, and they just look more at love at physical level than exactly how the person is, what personality the person is. So Dr. Anjali,
Yes.
what are your thoughts? What do you think how this stereotype, types how are made for men and women in real?
So I think what happens is when people go to see a movie, they don't want to see what is really happening in their life, right? कि घर actual घरों में क्या हो रहा है. So when they go to see, they want to see all ideal. They want to see fantasy, and that is what sells. Whether it is on television where characters are exaggerated, so वो जो सास बहू का झगड़ा दिखता है television पे, that does not happen in houses, right? Or the way they show, even the characters, if the way they are falling in love, and this whole thing about being happily married ever after, as if to say marriage is the end of everything. Actually, marriage is a beginning.
Right.
It's a beginning of a lot of adjustment. It's a beginning of living together of two different people. तो वहां पे तो कुछ ना कुछ मतलब on a daily basis, your husband is not going to bring roses for you, and your wife is not going to get up with a smile on her face and give you tea every day. Reality of the life is that you have to get up and make your own tea.
Right.
And half the time, the wife may be irritated with you because you haven't done so many things, So when we get up in the morning expecting, a Kareena Kapoor in our life, and at night we want an Aishwarya Rai, aisa nahi hota hai. Because you are also not a Ranbir Kapoor and a Ranbir Kapoor,
Right.
So I think we need to remember that, and we need to realize that what we are seeing is not reality. And this actually, when people realize it, we will be happier with ourselves, because the expectations start from there, and those expectations that we see in our lives, in our careers, that it is these expectations which actually ruin relationships.
Okay, that's very nice. It was nicely put. So you're very right. People do go out to see the fantasy there in the movies or in TV serials and everything. But we should not carry that same ideas in our head and start behaving or thinking like that. Those expectations may not be. And you're very right. Marriage is not the end of the movie. Marriage is a start, because marriage has a lot of ups and downs, and it's good actually. It'll be very boring if and I tell this to my clients also sometimes. कि अगर आप एक मूवी देखने जा रहे हो, सब कुछ ही अच्छा है from the starting till the end. Everybody is nice, everybody is sweet to each other. आप वो मूवी देखोगे नहीं. You expect a hero to go under certain trouble. You see some kind of crisis happening, and then you learn how to get out of that crisis. I think वो हर मूवी में होता है, which makes a movie important. Life maybe we need to learn there are going to be challenges in any relationship, and we need to learn to work together to overcome those challenges.
And
so,
Vishal,
yeah,
it just came to my mind that this one little movie, I don't know how many people have seen it. There was a movie called Choti Si Baat. I think that one movie is a must see for even the younger generation, because that shows the hero and the typical heroine in a very different way. The hero is imperfect. The female character is not the real conventional beauty. Still, they have a very, very balanced and a nice relationship worked out. I think that movie is one example. I really wish there were more, but that is one example which exemplifies love in very realistic way, very nice way.
You said ek choti si baat, right?
Choti si baat.
Right.
Also, I think, also what is also happening is, a lot of new movies are coming up, and they're also influencing people, because people feel, acha, life aisi hi honi chahiye. We were talking about Gehraiyaan the other day, right? Ki, this is a movie which is startling people
Mhm.
and also making them feel that, oh, if they can do it, so can we.
Right.
So I think we need to be very realistic and clear and not base our values. Movies are for entertainment. I think we should just go there and if you like it, it's fine. If you don't like it, don't think too much about it. So I think that's the way to what we need to learn from today's discussion.
Thank you so much. I think my panelists and we've done a good job at trying to make people understand कि जो real love है उसको really में रहने दो और real love की expectations को थोड़ा different करो and don't compare it with the real love. So now I think we should move on to our next set of panelists. So after we talked about real and real love, over to Dr. Darpan Kaur from Mumbai and Dr. Puneet Kathuria, who are going to talk about digital love in today's digital times. Over to you, Dr. Darpan.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vishal. Good evening to everybody. And this program is organized by Psychiatrists Unite on the eve of Valentine's Day to talk about various aspects of love. So this current third session, which has me in my responsibility to interview one of the leading psychiatrists of India, Dr. Puneet Kathuria, who is a psychiatrist based in Jalandhar. He shall be talking to us some things about digital love. So, Dr. Puneet, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Darpan. We would be talking about digital love, love in the digital times. And I will just like to shock all my senior psychiatrists who came before me talking about love is forever and happily ever after, and we have to invest a lot in love. And the youngsters and the teenagers, they don't understand love. I would respectfully disagree with them. Youngsters understand love far, far better, though they might not have that experience of years behind them, but they have this digital media with them. They talk, they meet on digital platforms, they know each other. We have our digital footprints everywhere. So they know from our childhood days to now. If you remember your old days, you meet a girl, you just don't know what her background is, what her activities are, how her personality is, or a boy, what he does, what is his likes and dislikes. And lo and behold, you are on the digital media. You track a person on his Instagram, on his Facebook, on his Snapchat, and within minutes, you know his entire, background and history and personality and characters. And within just a flick of your fingers, you know whom you are talking to, whom you are meeting, what kind of a person he or she is, what do you expect? So that is what brings, what the technology brings to us. But at the same time, it brings us a lot of aspects which were not there. People, fake personalities on Instagram. I just want to warn all of you, all youngsters, don't just get led by the social media feeds of individuals. They fake, they use filters. You've seen people doing adventure sports who have never been to any mountain. You've seen people doing so many things. They just do it just for their Instagram reels. So the challenges in the love are the same. There were times when you used to write letters and postcards and wait for replies. You were living in phases where there were uncertainties. And today again, our youngsters, our kids, our college going students are, everybody is again living in those uncertain times. Even with the help of technology, they are not able to figure out what love is. So, my dear friends, kids and everybody, I just want to tell you, love is not only about feelings or knowing about each other. As coming back to what every senior said, love is about adjustments, about giving time, patience, and tolerance. So all these virtues still remain, and love still is a mystery for all of us. Dr. Darpan, your take on it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Puneet. You shared a very enlightening perspective on digital love. I'd like to also know your thoughts on what do you think are the different modes of digital love, and what are the advantages that you see for digital technology and the medium of love?
Now, as I said, Dr. Darpan, the advantages remain that you can meet hundreds and thousands of people in a single day on digital platform. From Tinder to so many apps, you can meet and greet so many people. But at the same time, the worries, the anxieties remain the same. And as somebody alluded to earlier, it is those initial feelings that lead to attraction, those neurochemical changes, those hormonal changes that lead to attraction. But love has to be built. Love has to be structured. You need to have patience and tolerance and regularly investing in somebody else's life to understand and then to give, to receive. And that's how the love would remain with you forever.
That's very beautifully put by you, Dr. Puneet. I'd also like to know your thoughts on what are the caution areas and the pitfalls of digital love.
The caution areas are, see, if you see a person on social media, if you meet a person on Snapchat or Instagram, on Tinder, you should be really, really careful about his activities on social media, the post he is doing, what exactly is he trying to portray. And at the same time, you should be very cautious about posting your own pics and information on social media. Remember, and this I want to stress again and again, that whatever you post on social media or any of the platform is always going to be there on the internet. You cannot completely delete it. So before you post anything, any pics of yours, any pictures, anything that any activity, just think twice before posting, because that is going to stay there forever and can have repercussions in either way.
Thank you so much, Dr. Puneet. Coming to you, to my last question for you. And you see that there are many people during this pandemic who've been away. And so how do you see digital platforms and mediums as a bridge for connecting people? So what would your thoughts be for millennials? And what would your thoughts be for people of our generation and maybe our seniors, that how can technology be used as a good connecting medium?
See, we all have to understand that we need to embrace technology. We should not hate or, stay away from technology. And this COVID pandemic has taught us exactly that technology has helped us communicate, to be together, to feel each other. There were couples, there were people who were away, could not meet, but this technology on social media, digital platform kept them together. There were kids, youngsters with their parents. They could connect with their cousins, with their relatives, as well as their love of their life. People had marriages on social media, and people had breakups on social media. So this digital platform has been a major bridge between everyone.
So I think you put your thoughts very wonderfully, and you've given us a very excellent perspective about what are the different modes of digital love and what are the caution areas, the pitfalls, as well as what are the advantages and the positive areas that we can think of for technology and digital love. So it's been really wonderful talking to you, Dr. Puneet, as part of our this Psychiatrists Unite initiative. And I'm sure that the audience listening to this presentation and this meeting will get very useful insights on various aspects of love and its connotation. So I thank Psychiatrists Unite for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this platform and interviewing Dr. Puneet on this wonderful session on digital love. So thank you so much. And over to Dr. Rukshida Saida, who shall continue on our next theme of today's session on breakups. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Darpan and Dr. Puneet. Where there is love, there's also heartbreak. And just now that we were talking about digital love and finding love on the digital platforms, I think there's a recent documentary movie out on Netflix called Tinder Swindler. I'm sure a lot of youngsters have already seen it, but those of us who haven't, we could learn a lot from it in terms of how to be cautious, in terms of what to do, what not to do. But it also kind of tells you that just because these things happen doesn't mean that you give up either on finding love from a digital way or in any other, in a real face-to-face way. Those of us who've lived a few years, I think all of us can say कि हमारे दिल टूटे भी हैं और हमने दिल तोड़े भी हैं. What happens, right? What happens when we go through a breakup? We feel a lot of pain. We feel a lot of sadness. A lot of the times, either we are struggling, blaming ourselves. Oh, I shouldn't have done this. If only I would have done this, this wouldn't have happened. We blame others. Oh, he or she was so bad, or they were so bad. We get very scared because we are scared of unhappiness and feeling, what we are going to see, what we're feeling right now, and which may also kind of continue for a long period of time. And at that minute, it seems forever. We get scared of staying alone. We get scared of never finding somebody else. We get scared of being hurt again. We keep thinking about the past and all the good memories and the bad memories. And that's what brings about the misery of breakup, isn't it? But just like how we were talking about leaving an electronic footprint, we also know that there's a lot of emotional baggage that comes from a breakup. So I'm going to ask my friend, Dr. Amrit from Bhubaneswar, to jump in and maybe, share his ideas in terms of what is it that, how is it that we can get through a breakup with as much of maturity and as much of emotional health intact as possible. Dr. Amrit, what do you suggest? What can you tell? Doesn't matter, age no bar, we all have hearts and they all get broken. What can we do to get through this difficult part?
Yeah, Dr. Rukshida, it's most important part. Handling an accident in life is the most important thing. Handling a fall, handling a breakup, those are the most important things. And that is where we are not actually equipped or taught how to handle it. And that's such an important thing. With a very instant gratification world which we live in, hookups and breakups are as if it's just you're changing socks or your undergarment. That's what has been happening, and that's what the trend is now. So but then there are many people who are very, very serious about the relationships, and when something like this happens, it's the end. For many, it seems like the end of the world for them. I see a lot of clients who come to me, sadness, very, very common. Guilt, like you were talking about. Did I do anything wrong? Would I have done something better? Loss of self-esteem. Where was my fault? They start, picking up faults in themselves. He was the perfect man for me, but they don't understand. Maybe you were not the perfect female for me. It's not just that what you are. What somebody is looking at might be different. Hate and revenge is another thing. I've seen clients who actually wanted to murder. I had somebody actually had bought a pistol and I had to inform the police because he had planned to murder somebody, wrecking somebody's future. Like we see a lot of people posting intimate photographs, intimate messages on social media. And like Dr. Puneet and everybody else was here, it's something you can't take it back. Once you posted something, in seconds, it goes throughout the country and throughout the world. What somebody is, and that's very, very, for somebody whom you loved so much, whom you cared for so much, who was the world for you. In a moment of rage, you want to destroy him or her. You want to destroy the family, and the whole process you also get destroyed. So the common things which we see, and they lose trust in love. They start asking me, can we love again, sir? What if we are betrayed again? What if something like this happens again? And that's really pitiful, because love is the most beautiful thing that can happen to anybody. And once you lose trust in the most beautiful thing in the world, you lose trust in everything else around you. And that is where people start thinking of ending their lives. People start, the other aspect is, some people start searching for, they want to prove that no, this breakup was just his fault, so I need to hook up immediately, and they go to wrong places, wrong people, and they end up doing more harm to themselves than maybe if they would taken time off and they would have taken some, they would have somebody to talk to. So those are the important areas I as a therapist looks at, giving them the self-esteem, making them feel that the relationship was not only the bad aspect which you are looking. There's so many beautiful aspects. If you had a 5-year relationship, it might have been good aspect. That's why you are there for 5 years. He must have supported you. You must have had some romantic moments. You must have something. So I start making them look at the positives. Like every journey will not end at the destination. That's what I tell them. Sometimes you enjoy the journey. Maybe you won't enjoy the destination. Then the self-esteem part is very, very important. You make them feel that no, there's nothing wrong in that. Somewhere the chemistry or the biology or anything that could turn wrong, maybe. So that is how we work on them. We make them feel that we are there. We make them feel important. We make them feel loved. We talk about people who love them. You give them the confidence and tell them. And many people ask me, how long will I be like this? What is the time frame for me to get out of this completely? Maybe I talk about months, 6 months, 8 months, 9 months. It will gradually better off. And if that's how I talk to them. Ruksheda, your take on this?
Thank you, Amrit. I think that was very insightful. So from what I take away from you is what you're telling us that, if you're going to break up, you want to try and not give in to those negative kind of maladaptive reactions that we may have. Really, really, revenge porn is not something that you want to do, because you're not only going to hurt the partner that you just left, but, it is going to come back and make you feel miserable as well. Give in to these things. Okay, if boys have a breakup, they must go and drink, or if girls have a breakup, they must do something else. That's again something that we want to try and avoid. What you also told us that, getting into rebound relationships might be in fact one of the worst things that we can do. So a lot of insightful things that you've shared, and but and also it's like, yes, some relationships will have some good parts in it, but unfortunately there are also relationships that even may be very long relationships and could be monogamous, serious, committed relationships, but they may have been a lot of abuse in it. And if you are getting out of like an abusive pattern, just like how all our other friends and colleagues across the country have just shared, it's important to talk about it, take help, take the right kind of help, so that when you're getting over it, you are also dealing with less and less emotional baggage that you take on for the rest of your life. Just like when there's a death of somebody and there are 5 stages of grief, when there's a death of a relationship, there are again 5 stages of grief, isn't it? We can start with denial, we'll start with, there can be anger and bargaining and sadness, depression and acceptance. And you may go from anger to bargaining, and then again bargaining to denial, and then again to depression and things like that. But hopefully eventually you are going to get there and be accepting of the fact that yes, you got into a relationship thinking that this would bring a benefit to your life and happiness to your life, but also the relationship has ended for the same reason that you think that now you can be happy again in your life, and that's why this needed to end. Whether you got there first or the other person got there first, it was a mutual decision to break up. That's something that we do need to look forward to. And if we have kind of gotten through breakup, we need to understand and realize and remind ourselves that, okay, the heartache was there, it was a terrible time, very difficult time, but you got through it, and you got through it on your own, and you got through it with friends and families help. You all may or may not have taken therapy or even medications if that triggered a psychiatric illness, but that again kind of should remind you that even through a period of vulnerability, you could really take care of yourself. So there's hope, and there's no reason to shy away from or shun another relationship. There's no reason to not trust yourself that you'll be able to handle yourself in another relationship, or if God forbid there's another breakup, that you might kind of not get over that. So accepting vulnerability and not thinking of it as a weakness is again something I think a good takeaway from that. Any last comments about what to do and what not to do during a breakup, Dr. Amrit?
Like you were very clear. I also tell to patients, if you or my clients, that if you're in a toxic relationship, you should celebrate the breakup. Sometimes I tell them, let's have a party. Now that you're out of it, I talk about the pluses, minuses, and I make them sit down and try, give them a wider perspective of the whole thing. Once they get the perspective right, they feel that they'll be shamed because they've shared a lot of photos on social media. They've bragged about the relationship, and suddenly it all falls flat. And that is where sometimes people are more worried about what people might be thinking than what actually they are thinking. So somewhere the whole validation portion, the whole the external environment goes a lot in making them feel very, very ashamed of themselves. That is where we come in, where we tell them that yes, I'm also somebody who's outside. I've also looked at pictures of you. Now that you've showed me on your Insta account what were the pictures, I feel it's okay. You can always tell that yes, it was very fair and mutual. Even if you have been ditched, it's all fair in love and war. I tell them that everything is fair in love and war. You have to accept it. Now I tell people that once you go in a relationship, be ready. That don't give the 100% commitment initially. What happens is many times people commit far too easily, too fast. It's too fast sometimes. And then when they start knowing each other, understanding each other, then they understand that one understand that the other is not made for me, and the other is not ready to accept it. And that's where the problem is. And many times I see that the problem is who dumped first. Sir, we were in a toxic relationship, but just because he or she left me, I feel much worse about it. That's where I tell them. Anyway, it's the same thing. So the whole discussion has to be very, very rational. We have to be supportive. We have to be clear, and sometimes we need to be make them very practical about what life is, how we have gone through, what we are seeing. Like you talked about our experiences, we talk about our experiences also. And when they understand that we have gone through a lot in our life, and then we have accepted it, and we are what we are today, we also start thinking that maybe there's a life beyond the breakup, and that's where we have to give them. And then I told that, and I tell them that the window is closed, now the door is open, now you can go for a few more, but be careful, be sure, and give have some leeway to, if you fall, you won't fall on your face. At least that's what I tell them.
Thank you so much, Dr. Amrit. So I think, those are very wonderful points that people going through heartbreak or a breakup or a tough time in a relationship can definitely take some self-help tips from. Dr. Fabian, back to you now.
So that was an enriching and interesting, insightful session by all of our panelists. We talked about love and the myths around it, real love and real love, and everything in between, digital love, the do's and don'ts, and of course, breakups and how to deal with it. So finally, let's have a one-liner from each of our panelists here. Dr. Anjali.
This Valentine, resolve to love yourself. Forget if anybody else loves you or not.
Great. Dr. Gulbahar?
Always remember that love is much more complicated than just standing in a mustard field and waiting for the woman of your life to fall into your arms.
True. Dr. Rukshida?
Love is a wonderful thing. Pyar kiya to darna kya? If you are in love with someone, or if you think you love this person, go ahead, explore it yourself and explore it with this person, and jump in with both feet, but make sure that you have a life vest on.
Yes. Dr. Puneet?
Love has nothing to do nothing to expect as what you want, what you will get. Only thing is what you can give, and give everything for love.
Perfect. Dr. Vishal?
I think love is a wonderful thing. If you want to understand yourself, you need to love somebody else. Then only know about yourself.
True. Yes. Dr. Darpan?
Well, I think that it's very important to put the perspective on the other when you want to love, and love with an open heart, and be genuine in your love, and have not too many expectations, and nothing is perfect. So try to be open and genuine and love with a full heart. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And finally, Dr. Amrit.
Yes, it's better to love and have a breakup than not to love at all. And if you have serious issues regarding love and breakups, if it is obsessive, you think about ending your life because you have lost in love, we as mental health professionals are always there. I've helped a lot of people. I've also given pharmacotherapy to a lot of people who have, who can't get it out of their head. It's haunting them. It's pulling them down. It's temporary phenomenon. What would have improved in a year, we get it get them back on feet in maybe a couple of months. And that is where I tell we as mental health professionals are so much into love and what happens if there is a break.
Right. So this is Psychiatrists Unite for you, all of us wishing you a love-filled life. And if there are any problems, remember, go to your neighborhood psychiatrist, take help and seek support. That's the message. Go love 24/7, 365 days of the year. Don't restrict it to just one day in the year or 1 month in the year. We love all of you all. All the best. Take care.